Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, welcome to another GT Sport Daily Race race review from this week's race, where we are visiting the Nurburgring Nordschliefe in Germany, and we are in the Group 4 machinery. So the sort of detailed settings for this one are as follows: 2 laps to get around, very short race, just around about 14.5 minutes, just the racing hard tyres available, fuel consumption at times 2, tyre wear at times 5, it's just a 2 lap sprint basically, 15 minutes of sprinting around the Nordschleife. We're on the Womble Sheriff account once again, we're in the 458 Italia, starting down in P13, and when it's a grid start, not really a grid start. Well, when you leave 2 grid slots between each car, it turns out that a grid start isn't really a grid start. It looks very much like a normal rolling start. Not entirely sure what the think is behind that with PD. I was hopeful, we said it in the strategy guide, that maybe they would have fixed that given the complaints from the FIA race, but it's not to be the case, and it does mean if you're starting anywhere lower down than sort of P9, you're so far back from the leader that it's very hard to make a massive amount of progress. So fast forwarding through this first sector here, we can see we've been dropped a little bit by the cars ahead, just having that trouble getting the heat into those tyres compared to the cars around me. Close attention of a Hurricane behind us, but the action is we're all about to kick off up ahead, and we're going to get our first meaningful part of action from this race. So up ahead there is a Brazilian in a BMW who has had a very common accident of going wide at that very fast left-hander, and they make the rejoin of the century, and of course the victim of that rejoin happens to be ourselves. So we're bumped off the track, then run wide at this right-hander here. That allows Bracing and Cyrus to get past us. Just a very clumsy rejoin from the Brazilian, but at the end of the day we never died, we survived to fight another day, and that's the main thing around this race. It's all about just keeping the car on the track and letting everybody else sort of do the hard work for you. We've been slightly put off our rhythm though, and down into the sort of tight right-hander. This BMW is going to kind of bleed into our braking zone. Classic bit of nose poking. I'm not too upset about that one because you kind of have to take your opportunities around this track. So difficult to overtake because it's so narrow and mostly so quick. So Raphael there just, I guess, sensed a little bit of an opportunity to get the pass done, and sort of semi-forced our way down the inside, but no big deal. As I said, we survived, and it did turn out that this Brazilian driver was just a little bit quicker than us anyway. So as you can see, as we fast forward down through this next sector here, the cars ahead are starting to pull away. We are starting to hold up the car behind, who is Qualify, also in a BMW. So the BMW looks very strong around here, but we'll have to try that at some point. And Qualify is going to kind of do a little bit of a nose poke move here down into this right hand. I seen it coming, so we kind of left a little bit of room side by side, because we got the slightly more optimal line on the power a little bit earlier, and we managed to keep that position. Nice bit of racing there with Qualify, and there's plenty of action unfolding up ahead. So catching up with this group of cars that had pulled away from us, Cyrus has picked up a half-second penalty, and a little bit later on in the lap Cyrus is going to pick up an even bigger penalty by putting a wheel onto the grass. So easy to do around here, particularly if you're in an MR car or some of the FR cars. Wheel on the grass, it sees the car go around, and yeah, kind of hard to save it sometimes. Up ahead we have a little bit more action going on ahead as well. We've got a McLaren and a BMW who have got tangled up with each other, and that is going to allow us to just avoid the rejoining McLaren and pick up another 2 positions. So 3 positions picked up in the space of a couple of corners, and all we did was keep the car on the track, which is pretty much the theme for this race, as I said earlier. So we have jumped forward here to the back straight for the first time. We're firmly in the slipstream of Fernandez's Aston Martin here. Decide to give him a big old bump draft rather than go for the overtake, with the hope he gets into the BMW's slipstream, and that plan works out a little bit better than expected, because not only does he get the slipstream, he makes the overtake, which allows us to follow him through. Bit of a scary moment here coming into this complex without being able to see the braking zone. Just hoped we judged it right, hoped the car behind had judged it right so we don't get taken out. And as we come into the last corner, everybody has done an extremely good job in that situation, and we survive lap 1. We've had a couple of incidents, but survival is the key, and we're well on our way to a half decent result here from P13 on the grid. Well, we're going to get a better result than Fernandez, it looks like, as he dips a wheel onto the grass here. Such an easy accident to have. slight wheel on the grass around so much of this track just sees the back end of the car go round. But we're up into P10 with that spin from Fernandez, and we're going to jump all the way forward to pretty much the end of the race, where we're still in P10. We've caught the Dodge Viper of Eba up ahead, and we're getting slightly held up here with a BMW giving us some rather close attention from behind. That car is Rafael, the Brazilian. That's the driver that kind of made the nose poking move at the beginning of lap number 1. I think they got caught up on the accident that we've seen in the replay camera with the McLaren a little bit later on in that lap, and they are recovering clearly quicker than us at this stage. We're getting held up by the Viper, so probably hold them up even more than we'd like to be. But yeah, that BMW does seem so strong off the corner, so he kept just bumping into the back of us. So our plan here was obviously to kind of try and open up a little bit of a gap to the Viper ahead, so we get the full extent of the slipstream down the back straight. But the Viper runs a little bit wide, and we end up far too close to the Viper as we come off here. But we've got the overspeed, go for the move down the inside him. Viper tries to squeeze us all the way to the edge of the track, but we're not in a great situation here because there's so much of the straight still to go that we realise we're going to be in a bit of a sticky situation come the end of the lap. So Rafael in the BMW decides to actually just bump us through, so that wasn't too bad whatsoever. But Rafael is now firmly in that slipstream. He's going to go for the move down the outside. You can see it in the radar in the bottom right hand corner. I normally wouldn't sort of stick it in here as much as what I am, or kind of trying to be as brave on the brakes as what I tried to be. Yeah, and that's not worked out very well because we have the mother of all accidents. It looks like the Vipers had an incident as well. It looks like all three of us actually kind of got it wrong, but we got the worst of it. We're down into P13, and we take our battle-scarred Ferrari over the line for not the result we were looking for. It just shows how easily it can all go wrong at the end of a race. And I'd put that one down to me. I thought that was just my mistake. I tried to hold on to too long before we hit the brakes. But on looking back at the replay, it looks like we got a little bit of assistance into this crash. So we joined on board with the Viper. We've got myself and Rafael up ahead going side by side through this section of track. Never a good idea, but the Viper hits the curb, then hits into the back of the BMW, and then the back end of the BMW swings into the rear of our car and basically gives us a big old speed boost in the braking zone, which is why we ran wide and went off the track and had a rather large accident. Just a racing incident in the end, I think. But yeah, just a section of track where it's so easy for it to go wrong. We're doing 160 odd miles an hour at that point. Slightest little tap, slightest little misjudgment, and the result is what you see on the screen there. But it was a fun race all the same. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you have too. If you have, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know what you think in the comments of that one, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.